Hi everyone, this is DM Captain Obvious, and I am on Chess. I'm about to put out a seek for a 20+2 game. Now let's just open that up to everyone. We'll do a casual one since could be getting just about anyone here. And let's go ahead and see what we get. It's a good time control. Should be long enough for me to be able to articulate my thoughts. Hopefully we get a good game. I might try to play something a little out of the box if possible. Yeah, okay, so Guiz, or Guiz, 1466. Let's play the bird. Let's play the bird, and most principled reply is d5. Some people do like to play g6 setups and try to control f5. There's the Fromm's gambit, but I don't think that's very good. Just takes twice, and knight f3, and there's some forcing stuff with g5, but nothing to really worry about. Okay, knight f6 is fine. It's non-committal. It's a good first move, frankly. Okay, now he gets d5, and we'll go with e3. I might go for a b6 setup this game. There's also stonewall ideas if you ever want, or sometimes you play this small pawn with d3, kind of play a slow game, angle for e4 pawn breaks. We've got options. But let's see how our opponent handles the bird. Okay, so actually this is kind of interesting. He could play e5 here if he wanted to kind of do a reverse, I believe it's called a Hopton attack here. Yeah, no reason not to castle. There's and sometimes I actually think the bishop on g4 is a little less intimidating against the bird than a bishop on f5. Having played this sort of system for some time, the bishop giving itself up for my king's knight doesn't really concern me long term. But probably just develop his bishop somewhere and castle short. And I might go for b3 if bishop e7, bishop b2, castle short, maybe go for c4 there. And I'll have some choices with my knight if I want to play d3 and get my knight out via this way, or if I actually want to take the long way if I'm playing c4. Although that might not be ideal. But okay, so he plays knight c6, and that's interesting. I think c5 is also very good there before knight c6, because in some positions, especially with this pawn chain, black can find it advantageous to push this d pawn and create some unfavorable tension against the white camp, especially getting at the king. So I'm not a bad move, but maybe if you're going to put the knight on c6, you first want to put your pawn on c5. It's not like the bishop's developing there. So he drops his bishop back, which is kind of curious, actually. Is he considering putting his knight on b4 and trying to target this pawn? I mean, there's many ways for me to. Sorry, my dog in the background's having some dreams. Yeah, there's so many ways for me to address that. I don't think that's really a big threat. It's kind of just wasting time for black. Bouncing the bishop between these two squares. He's wasting time he could be developing. This is not a real threat. So, I'm not a fan of that maneuver. Especially if you're not going to give up the bishop for the knight. Now you've just spent time. Sometimes you see that at lower rating. People don't have the same. They don't yet understand the value of tempos in the opening, and that can come back and haunt them. So we'll see if that haunts black here. He's given some thought, and these are the sort of positions where I think that if he had played c5, he'd have a lot healthier set of ideas in terms of how to develop his pieces. You know, he could even go for something like that. I'm not exactly threatening anything with white in this setup. It's solid, but relatively solid, but I don't have any enormous breaks. It's just kind of a Dutch, you know, with white. I could put my knight on e5 and play c4, call it a solid opening, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, my moves are pretty direct here. C4, D4 at some... Okay, so that's actually kind of a wacky move. It might give me tactical ideas down the road. If I can, obviously not in this position, but, you know, if I could get a pawn to hit this bishop in such a fashion that I can get a pawn fork on e5, that could be thematic. But that's a long way off, and I probably have simply better moves. Do I want to go after this bishop, or do I want to play c4? I might want to play c4. Yeah, I don't want to go after that bishop yet, because I might get tactical ideas against it later on. So we're just going to play c4, and I don't think I'm going to regret that, because my knight doesn't necessarily belong on h4. There are some positions where it's very valuable controlling these dark squares. So I feel like that's going in the wrong direction, and I'm not worried about a piece landing on b4 yet, so I'm not thinking about a3. And this knight doesn't need to declare himself yet. I might go for this kind of like pawn well sort of idea. I think there's actually a word for it, like a pawn cork, or I've always thought of it as a pawn well because it just looks like a little well to me. And that's a common setup. I think we could... I'm assuming he's not going to take. I'm assuming he's not going to take on c4. That would just help my position. Yeah. So he's actually going to come after me. Props to him. He's not castling. He wants to use the rook and the h file. But, So maybe I want to actually start working to open up the center. My instinct here is to take the pawn and convert into a 2-to-1 majority in the center, because I am going to try to open this up. Since his king is uncastled, I feel like his play is going to be too slow here. And knight takes seems bold, but nothing directly wrong. Just put our knight out. And if knight takes knight, actually there's some value to taking with the pawn and opening my queen's eyes, isn't there? It's kind of interesting. I'll have to think about that. No, that's getting too fancy. Just keep the bishop. Just keep the bishop eyeing this long diagonal. Too fancy. Yeah, so we'll just keep that. If he drops his knight back, he might just leave it. There's no point in castling short now that he's played h5. That would just be a kind of a bad move if he were to castle short now. Wow. So I have knight a4 if I want it, but that doesn't seem to accomplish a tremendous deal. Knight a4 guarding the bishop, hitting the queen. But I kind of just like queen c1. It's simple. Yeah, it's just simple. Simple chess. Threatening to take the knight. Kind of positioning on a half open. Yeah. Now I kind of don't see what else he's going to do aside from knight takes knight, which just gives me a tempo on the queen. Maybe he puts his idea is to put his queen on g6 to assist with some kind of attack. But some caveman style attack. But I do think knight takes knight is best here for black. Not really sure what else he could do to avoid this idea of just knight takes knight. Bishop takes, bishop hitting the queen. So, yeah, I'm assuming we're going to get knight takes knight here. I wonder if he's going to actually castle long in this position. It seems like that might be a bad choice. I'm going to get a lot of pressure on him very quickly. And again, he still has his attacking chances. It's kind of a potential to become a very exciting game here, actually. I hadn't really considered this queen f6 move. Kind of daring my dark square bishop. So, even if he drops his knight back, I mean, I'm still threatening to just move my knight with tempo on the queen. Don't have if he moves his knight, maybe I do actually then have e4 and e5 as well. This is still an idea in certain positions he has to be aware of. Tempo and then a fork. Okay, so he does play queen g6. That's pretty wild. Probably just losing, because knight takes knight. And, he takes my knight and I play knight a4, or knight h4 here, and that's it for that. I'm imagining he's going to put his queen on e6. And then... Actually, I have this really weird tactical idea. He puts his queen on e6, and I can actually play bishop a6 because my queen is pressuring the knight. Yeah, we're going to go for that. This is kind of nasty. Everything's pretty weak here. This pawn is obviously stuffed by my knight. His queen's not really threatening anything on the dark squares. And it's kind of hard for him to come up with a move here. Yeah, this is just a very nice shot, obviously. Pardon me. If he takes this bishop, we're just playing hello lines. If he takes, we take with check. And that's going to be very nasty for him. There's no need to rush taking this bishop, especially because my knight is doing a great... Wow! Well, he's brave. I'll give him that. But that's just dropping a piece, because this pawn is pinned. So that is not an ideal move. And he has no reveal checks or anything. This is just losing. Yeah. And obviously, dropping the queen back is mate. So he can't put anything here. And of course, just checking him is pretty lights out. So yeah, that's probably just going to be resigns from our opponent. But things got interesting there. He wanted to come after me, so major props to him for that. Sometimes when people face higher rated opponents, they kind of curl up into a ball. But let's take a look at this one. I really like that he was willing to come after me. Okay, let's keep that turned off. Oops. Goodness, sorry, that's just been up. Alright, so again, this is kind of an offbeat opening. It might be like maybe the 5th or 6th choice for white. It's kind of nice, especially if you like playing the Dutch with black. So if you enjoy these positions, this is a very good opening for white. You get the extra tempo. Black is supposed to equalize pretty easily. But a lot of people aren't prepared for bird openings, and they kind of wing it. And that gives you a lot of opportunities to kind of pounce on natural-looking moves that are actually a mistake if you're a prepared bird player or a Dutch player, if you don't mind colors reversed. So, yeah, this is all pretty standard stuff. I think that this pin is very normal. I see it much more when I've played lower rated opponents, actually. There's nothing wrong with this move. It's a good move. But bishop f5, I've always liked a little bit more for black. Bishop f5, e6, c5, knight c6. Bishop e7 and castle short, I think, is a very, very good setup for black against this bird. Maybe we'll do another bird where we play g3 and kind of go into like a Leningrad sort of structure with white. Anyways, not a tremendous amount to say here. This is a wasted tempo. I don't think that's good. And here, this is not a... I actually prefer e7. In some lines, black does try to break, but... yeah. I just think e7 is probably a safer square, and again, I think black would want to have a pawn on c5. So I've achieved a pretty ideal pawn chain here, and because he's going for this early attack, I want to open things up to get at his king. This is a very provocative move. It's a very provocative move. I don't think it's necessarily correct. Looks like he's run the engine on this one. But takes. Yeah. And now this is the killer. The queen. The light squares. It's just game over. Alright. But good game from GuizGuizGuizGuiz. And yeah. So only a 15 mover. Hope you enjoyed. Take care and good luck with your chess out there.